Shalom, 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 shalom. As always, I want to give the praises and the glory to the Heavenly Father, Yahweh, unto His only begotten Son, Yahweh Shai, who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ. Shalom to the apostles and to the elders of Great Millstone. Shalom to the 144,000 elect men of the 12 tribes of Israel. Shalom to the mixed multitude, 1/3 children of Israel that are scattered to the four corners of the world. As always, today's date is June the 5th, Wednesday, June the 5th, 2024. So, as you can see from today's title, Tariq Nasheed says, I'm not an Israelite. I'm not an Israelite, and is dismantled, literally dismantled by a Peruvian Israelite woman. And is dismantled, completely dismantled by a Peruvian Israelite woman. Just to show you, boy, that this word is truly getting to the elect of our people, getting to the elect of the children of Israel, this word of ours. So he was, Tariq Nasheed has a radio show called the Tariq Radio Show. And he had a caller that called in, a Peruvian woman from Peru that called in to him regarding the Hebrew Israelites. Now, before I play you that, I'm just going to give you this copyright disclaimer. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. Non-profit educational or personal use tips the balance in favor of the fair use. Fair use, fair use, fair use. All right, just for everyone to see that. Okay, so we're going to play this radio interview here and that. It's about 7 minutes of it I'm going to play. Only 7 minutes of it I'm going to play. So let's listen to this. I may stop it halfway in between or a couple of times in between just to do a bit of a running commentary on what's been said. But I'm going to try and play as much of it as fluently as possible. It's only a 7-minute clip of it I want you to hear because that's the part of the interview that he did with this woman. Now, this interview took place roughly 2 weeks ago. Okay, on his radio show, on Tariq Nasheed's radio show, 2 weeks ago it took place, for those of you who want to know. All right, and I've also put the link to the actual radio show in the description box. If you want to listen to the whole thing, you can click on the link in the description box and you can watch it in your own time. All right, so without further ado, let's get into it.
Camilla? Miss Camilla, you want to unmute your microphone?
Oh, hi. Hi, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Thank you for having me. I just want to be briefly, wanted to tell you I like the work you do with Black American communities, but I think you need to be a little more conscious of the lies that you spread. I know you live in California. I know the Jewish are all over around you. You might be intimidated not to tell the truth. You are a Jew. You are a true hero like most Latinos. We are the 12 tribes of Israel. I want you to do your research and spread truth, which is liberation. People are living lies. Our history has been completely changed in order to meet the lies of this country. This country is going to collapse. People need to organize. People need to be ready.
Camilla?
Stop dividing people. Latinos are mostly Africans and mostly indigenous, and indigenous peoples are Hebrews. We speak Quechua. We speak indigenous language that are the oldest versions of Hebrew. Relearn your history, my friend, and do a work of love that is much needed around this country.
Camilla?
Yes, sir.
Where are you from, dear?
I am from Peru, one
Peru.
of the 12 tribes of Israel. We come.
So as you can see, right, she's 100% schooled up on who she is. Just to tell you, this word is truly getting to the elect of our people. The word is getting to the elect of the children of Israel. She's totally clued up on who she is and who her people are, all right, and who he is, who he denies who he is because he thinks he's black. Tariq Nasheed is what we would consider a 2/3, all right? So she knows who she is. She knows who he is, but he's a 2/3. He's one of those Israelites who's going to have his head down. He's going to have his head down in the kingdom when it's established on earth, all right? But let's continue listening to the rest of the interview, right? I didn't mean to stop it, but you know how it goes.
Come from the real Hebrews. And after 500 years of rape, forced marriages, genocide provoked by the 12 tribes of Israel, we come from the real Hebrews. And after 500 years of rape, forced marriages, genocide, provoked pandemics, our melanin have changed. But what you're doing is divide us people that we need to stick together one way or another, and it's going to happen. Just be ready because the Jewish demons that run the USA, Babylon USA, will provoke violence soon. Beware,
Camilla,
times are difficult, but there's a better future for everyone. Okay? Do a work of love. It's much needed.
Camilla, I want you to talk to my sister Wani. I got to get my other sister up here for you. Wani,
No,
get
I
back.
just wanted to share a message
No,
with you.
I,
I'm not here to debate. I'm not here for you to ridiculize me, to mock me, to make fun of people. That is childish behavior. Grow up
Wani,
there.
slow down, senorita. You slow your ass down. Now, you just can't say nothing and people don't respond. I want to have our sister Wani, another sister, another woman, because you said a lot of things that needs to be addressed.
Yes, but don't mute my mic. Don't
All right,
censor
but
me.
don't talk
And
over me.
you censor people to mock.
Hold on. Don't talk over me, though, dear. This ain't the immigration office. You got to listen. So we're going to have a conversation here. All right. And you said that.
What do you mean immigration? I'm indigenous to this land.
What land? What land are you indigenous to?
The occupied native lands where Babylon USA is located. Your country is temporary. What are you
You're
talking?
not indigenous to the United States. What are you talking about?
So, you know, when she's saying she's indigenous to the United States, what she's saying to him that they are the original indigenous people of that country. No one was in that country before the Native American Indians settled there, which are the 10 lost tribes of Israel. This is what she's saying to him. But as you can see, you know, he was coming on a bit disrespectful by telling her about, you know, this is not the immigration officer, this is not the immigration office, senorita. You can see he was being very disrespectful to her. All right, so she's explained to him that they are, they are the indigenous people of that land, even though that's not their homeland. Their homeland is the promised land, which they will be repatriated to once the Lord comes back, right, to deliver the elect of Israel. But he was being very disrespectful to her in what he was trying to say by saying, "Oh, this is not the immigration office," and you know, and calling her "hold on, senorita." You know, he was being very I'm trying to think of the word I'm trying to use, man. It's just come from my mind. But anyway, and also what I recognize is that she, you know, she knows that America is Babylon the Great. She knows that this is Babylon. She knows that it's ruled by the small hats, right? As you heard her say, she when she pronounced the you know, the Jebrew people, the small hats, she was speaking about them, and she knows America's Babylon the Great, as she's telling him all of these things. But Tariq Nasheed is fully invested in the United States of America. He's fully invested in Babylon the Great. Hence why I say 100% he is one of the 2/3, right? And he's going to be one of those that are going to go during the second, what the Bible refers to as the second death in Revelation chapter 20, I believe it is, right? So let's continue listening to what she has to say to him, right? Sorry.
Indigenous to this land.
What land? What land are you indigenous to?
The occupied native lands where Babylon USA is located. Your country is temporary. What are you
You're
talking?
not indigenous to the United States. What are you talking about?
This is a temporary colony. It's gonna collapse.
Ma'am, you're not indigenous to the United States.
I am indigenous to this continent and the world. We
Uh,
are the real Hebrews.
Ma'am, then why are you not in Israel?
You're so ignorant. It's totally sad for your part. You're not mocking me. You are
I'm not
exhibiting,
mocking
you
you.
are
You're ignorant.
displaying your
If you are a Hebrew,
ignorance.
if you are a Hebrew, why did you flee here and not Israel?
Be a leader. Don't be a clown.
Ma'am, you just babbling. Why are you not in Israel if you are the real Hebrew?
The real
The reason why we're not in Israel, as we all should know, is because we fled Israel, then all the way back to the Assyrian conquest of the northern kingdom under King Hoshea. And then the Babylonians came, the Neo-Babylonians came another 150 years later to the southern kingdom. Then the final destruction of the Israelites that caused us to totally flee the land where there was no more left was under the Romans, 70 AD. The reason why we're not back in the land, because we're not meant to be back in the land until the Lord comes back to deliver us. This is what we must understand. The Lord is going to come back to deliver us, to bring us back to the land. We can't go back to the promised land of our own head, of our own backs. We have to wait on the Lord. The scripture says, wait ye upon me until I rise up to the prey. So the reason why we're not back in the land, because we are in captivity. We are fulfilling Bible prophecy. That's why we're not back in the land, because we are fulfilling prophecy. We are all where we are meant to be. And we're all going to be where we're meant to be until the Lord Yahushua comes to deliver his elect. Right? That's why we're not back in the land. We're not meant to be back in the land. Only the Lord can bring us back, can redeem us back to the promised land. And that will come with the destruction of Babylon the Great, America. All right? So let's listen up to the rest of this.
Hebrews are from all over the world, silly.
Then if everybody's a Hebrew, nobody's a Hebrew. How does that work?
Well, do your homework. Stop spreading trashy information.
What
All you
information
do
is
is
trash?
spread mockery and stupidity.
Well, now, what trash am I spreading, ma'am?
You don't even know your roots. You don't
Ma'am,
even know you are a true Hebrew.
I am not no damn Hebrew. I'm a
You
foundational.
are, and that
No,
is the
I'm
saddest.
not. I'm a foundational Black American. I am not a Hebrew. And
He says, I'm a foundation of Black America. He says, I'm not a Hebrew. He doesn't believe he's a Hebrew, even though he's a Hebrew Israelite. He believes he is and that's exactly what he is. He has become a foundation of Black America, of Black culture. He is who the so-called white man wants him to be, who Esau wants him to be. He doesn't want nothing to do with his true identity. He doesn't want nothing to do to be. He doesn't want nothing to be do to be identified as a Hebrew Israelite. He believes that he is, and what he believes is exactly what he is. He is the foundation of Black culture, of Black America, what has been created by the so-called white man, the Edomites. He is a product of Esau, just like he said. He doesn't want to be. So he's saying to her, I am not an Israelite. That's fine. Like I said, in the kingdom, he will be one of those that will be holding his head down. He says, I'm not a Hebrew Israelite. Let's just play that again.
I am not no damn Hebrew. I'm a
You
foundational.
are, and that
No,
is the saddest.
I'm a foundational Black American. I am not a Hebrew, and neither are you, ma'am.
Oh, please,
Foundation.
Babylon, USA is a temporary satanic nation that.
Then why did you flee to it? Huh?
Because it's Bible prophecy, Tariq. Just like she said, Babylon USA is a satanic, demonic nation that the Most High is getting ready to destroy. We are here. We're all here where the Lord. We are scattered to the four corners of the world, as we all should know by now. We are scattered to the four corners of the world. The Lord is getting ready to come back to do his works. But Tariq, he's just like he said from his own lips. He said he's not a Hebrew Israelite. He is a foundation of Black America. All right? And he will go down with Black America. When those missiles come, he will go down with that foundation of Black America. That I can guarantee you. Unless he wakes up and repents. Unless he wakes up and repents. Because we're all living in a grace period right now. Listen to the rest of it.
Huh? Camilla? I think she dropped her phone in an empanada. Camilla. Camilla?
You mute me and then you ask me questions. Leave my mic on if you want real answers. I didn't
Okay, hold
flee
on.
here.
Now,
You
slow
don't know
down.
my history. You're stereotyping me. You don't
You
know my
fled here.
history. I am
You
a
fled.
refugee. This
Oh,
country
Lord.
killed my grandfather and my father for doing a work of love. I will
So,
not shut up and I will spread truth every day of
okay.
my life
So
until
this
yours.
so this country killed your people and you fled to the country that killed your people. What sense does that make? What sense does that
Your
make?
country will collapse. Get it?
So you fled your homeland to the place that killed your people. What dumbass logic is that?
Excuse you. Watch your language. Be a leader. Don't be a clown.
No, no, no. No, you watch your language with that dumbass logic you're talking. You said the US killed your family and your ass fled to the US. What sense does that make?
The sense that that makes, right? And I've said this many times before. Some are fleeing to Babylon for destruction. Some are fleeing to Babylon for salvation. The elect of Israel in America, 1/3 are going to make it, 2/3 are going to be destroyed. We tell you this before. When you see those influx of the northern kingdom coming from South America into Babylon the Great, some of them are coming for salvation and some of them are coming for destruction. That's why there's such a high influx of the northern kingdom coming from South America into North America, aka Babylon the Great.
Huh? Come on, Gloria Estefan. I want to hear you what you got to say. Come on. Camilla, she's talking and her mic is muted. Camilla, hop on. Okay, she bounced. Let me get Wani, hop on, sister. Let me get Sister Wani on here.
Hi.
Hey, beloved. Everybody say what's up to Sister Wani. Give Wani a Black Fist family. And y'all follow our Sister Wani if you're not following her. Oh, Lord, Wani, what is with these people talking about we Hebrews and all?
I think that some of my Black American brethren have embraced Hebrew Israelites, and they have been laying up with these foreign broads, and it's a hot mess. I've seen this happen before.
Yes, Lord. We're not no damn Hebrews. We're not.
See, once again. So the hot mess is what him and Wani is involved in. This Black American culture, calling themselves black. That's the hot mess that they're in. They want to deny the Hebrew Israelites and who they truly are, right? Because, as I've always said, and I say this again, because a lot of things that people are doing in today's society, they would have to stop doing them if they were to embrace their true heritage as the Hebrew Israelites. They would know as time goes along, embracing their true heritage, they would have to stop doing a lot of shit that they are doing while they're living in Babylon the Great, while they're living in doing these worldly, materialistic things. So he's once again telling you, he's denying the fact that he's a Hebrew. That's fine, because we don't need him to be a Hebrew Israelite. We don't need him to claim to be a Hebrew Israelite. But we're just showing you a perfect example of these so-called celebrities that who know about us, know that we're the Israelites, but don't want nothing to do with their heritage because they've embraced Babylon the Great. And even though he was being told he was being completely dismantled by this Peruvian Israelite woman who was telling him who we are, who he is, right? And he refused to accept that. But the day's gonna come. The day's gonna come when they're gonna have to accept this truth, boy. Trust me. And that day is gonna be too late. Like I said, right now is the grace period that we're living in. Let's listen to a bit more.
Lord. And now some brother that laid up with this broad to help her get her green card. Now she's up here talking about with some Hebrews. So these people, they like to play 3-card Monty. They like to latch on to all these different identities. It's hilarious.
So now I'm just gonna play this clip now. This is another Peruvian woman from Peru who's she's a professor, and she's gonna speak on things to do with the heritage of the people in Peru. All right. This is a 2-minute clip. Not even 2 minutes, probably about a minute. This clip is all right. Listen to what she has to say. She's a professor from a university in Peru, and she's a Peruvian woman herself, and she's going to explain to you how they know who they are.
The period that we are, let's say, talking about is a period of big complications in Spain. We had the establishing of the Inquisition in the year and the expelling of the Jewish community later in the year 1492. Many of the Jews went to Portugal, escaping from the Inquisition. And in Portugal, they had some years of certain comfortable lives, but later they were forced by the king, Manuel I of Portugal, to convert again into Christianity. So they were being persecuted. Very important to mention that Peru probably was one of the most distant lands where someone could travel to from Spain or Portugal. Look at where we are in this moment, no? Peru in the map. I hope you are seeing the location of my country. We are between latitude 13 and 12 below the equator line. So we are a warm country located in a zone that is quite tropical. Lima, by the way, lays on a desert, right? So many of the men who came to Peru during that period could be Christians, old Christians, or new Christians also, were here to make fortunes. They wanted to live comfortable life, but also many of them wanted to escape. They were escaping from this oppression, from this surge. Many even who were truly new conversos into Catholic faith, just because they were, let's say, descendants of Jews, they would be always put in this, let's say, group of new Christians, just because they had, like ancestors, great grandfathers that were Jews. They will always be new Christians. And that stain, that mark will not let them be, let's say, or have the same opportunities than other people. But also we have many people who continue practicing their faith because that was the only way they could also live in secret.
So, what I want to do as well is I'm going to just read an article. Let me just get this up here. 1 second. We're going to switch screens in a minute. All right. So, all right. So we know how the Northern Kingdom got to the Americas, right? We know here, 2nd Ezra chapter 13, verse 40, right? We know that they came through down the river Euphrates into the Persian Gulf, into the Indian Ocean, around the Horn of Africa, into the Atlantic Ocean, and then across into the Americas. And this is how they came to the Americas. As we know, it's all in 2nd Ezra chapter 13, verse 40, which we'll show you in a minute, right? The 12 tribes of Israel that split into two kingdoms, Northern Kingdom, today called Latinos, Native American Indians, and the Southern Kingdom, which we refer to as the Negroes, right? African Americans, West Indians, and Caribbeans, right? And Haitians. In 2nd Ezra chapter 13, which we're going to show you, it describes how the Northern Kingdom was captured out of Israel and carried into slavery in Assyria. They then made an agreement amongst themselves to travel to a land where no man dwelt before, so they could practice the commandments. So they entered the Euphrates River, and the Most High guided them to Azareth, today known as the Americas, right? Basically, all right? That's what that's known as today, all right? What we refer to as America. The word Azareth in the Hebrew means another land, right? Eretz means land, Azareth means another, all right? Another land. That's where they were brought to, today known as the Americas, right? Now, that's all described here in 2nd Ezra, as we all know, because I want to read something for you as well, but just to quickly show you this. 2nd Ezra chapter 13, verse 39, right? Where it speaks about verse 40, where it says, whereas thou sawest another, and whereas thou sawest that he gathered another peaceable multitude unto him, those are the 10 tribes which were carried away prisoners out of their own land, right, in the time of Hosea the king, whom Shalmaneser the king of Assyria led away captive, and he carried them over the waters, and so they came into another land, right? That's what the word Azareth means, another land, right? This is what it's spoken about, right? So that story here is all depicted here in 2 Kings chapter 17, all right, where it talks about Hosea's reign over Israel. Then it goes into Israel's captive, when it says here, in the 9th year of Hosea, the king of Assyria took Samaria and carried Israel away into Assyria and placed them into Hala and in Harbor by the river of Gozan and in the city of the Medes. It speaks about Israel's fall, why Israel fell. It goes through the story of what happened to them, how they fell, how the king of Assyria came and took them down and brought them into this other land. I'm not going to read this through. You can read it through in your own time. The whole story of their captivity under the Assyrian Empire is in 2 Kings chapter 17, which we're reading here, right? But I'm not going to read it all through. I'm just going to show you the main points, but you can read this through yourself in your own time, right? And then it shows you here, it says he caused their sons and their daughters to pass through the fire, through divination, enchantment, sold themselves to do evil in the sight of Yahweh to provoke him to anger. This is why they were taken away, because they were worshipping molten images. They were worshipping, as it says there, and they left all the commandments of the Lord Yahweh, their power, and made them molten images, even 2 calves, and made a grove, and worshipped all the hosts of heaven, and served Baal, right? And they also caused their sons and daughters to pass through the fire, human sacrifices, and used divination and enchantments, and sold themselves to do evil in the sight of Yahweh to provoke him to anger. This is why the Lord sent the king of Assyria upon them to take them away. And then it shows you here, the cities of Israel were filled with strangers. So when they were taken into captivity, the king of Assyria put the people from his nation in the land of Israel, in Samaria, in the northern kingdom. He populated them with the people from Assyria. This is how we know we never went back to the northern kingdom, never went back to Samaria. As it says here, the king of Assyria, Shalmaneser V, brought men from Babylon and from Kuta and from Ava and from Hamath and from Sepharvaim and placed them in the cities of Samaria instead of the children of Israel. And they possessed Samaria and dwelt in the cities, right? So this is what happened, all right? So this is how we ended up. After that 25 year of captivity, we never went back to Israel because Israel was populated by people from the kingdom of the Assyrian kingdom, from those places that we just mentioned, from Assyria, from Babylon, Kuta, Avar, Hamath, Sepharvaim, were placed in the cities of Samaria, which is the northern kingdom, northern Israel. That's what the king of Assyria did. So we never ever went back to the land, all right? We took that journey, as we're going to read here in 2 Ezra 13 and 40, to go to this place called Azaros in the Hebrew, which means another land, which is what we know today as the Americas, all right, North and South America. So when we go back to 2 Ezra chapter 30, and he says, and he carried them over the waters, and so they came into another land, all right? But they took this counsel amongst themselves that they would leave the multitude of the heathens, the Assyrian Empire, after their 25 years of captivity. This is the northern kingdom, and go forth into a further country where never mankind dwelt. That further country is this country here, the Americas, right? We're going to show you, all right? So it says here, that they might there keep their statutes, which they never kept in their own land, to keep the statutes that they never kept in their own land. Because in their own land, what were they doing? They was worshipping idols. We just read here, and they left their and they left all the commandments of the Lord Yahweh, their power, and made them molten images, even 2 calves, and made a grove and worship all the hosts of heaven and served Baal. So they left their commandments. So they said, we're not going to go back to Israel because we wasn't able to serve the Most High Yahweh Bashim, Yahweh at the time they have known, to serve his laws, commandments, and statutes. So what they did, that they might there keep their statutes, so they didn't go back to Israel, which they never kept in their own land, in Israel, in Samaria, which is the northern kingdom, all right? So this is what they did. And they entered into the Euphrates by the narrow places of the river. So they entered into the Euphrates, which is here, by the narrow places of the river. This is the Euphrates River, and that's the Tigris River, right? And it brings them into the Persian Gulf, into the Indian Ocean, round to the Atlantic Ocean, to the Americas, as you're going to see. And they entered into the Euphrates by the narrow places of the river, all right? This is why she was saying that they are the indigenous people of the Americas, because they were the first nation to live in the Americas as a nation of people, was the northern kingdom of Israel, today referred to as the Native American Indians, today who they call Latinos, Hispanics, Mexicans, and Puerto Ricans. It says, for the Most High then showed them signs for them and held still the flood till they were passed over. So he held still the flood. The same sort of thing that he did. You think about this, right? When they crossed the, it wasn't the actual Red Sea, but when they left Egypt and went into, and came into the wilderness, the Most High did the same thing back then. Yahweh, he parted the sea for them to cross, right? If we was to go to, if I can see that. Let's see if I can find out. I think it's in. That's the second. Oh, come on. Just give you another example of this being taken. Is it? Okay, so it says there, Psalms 136, 13. Give thanks to him who parted the Red Sea, and his faithful love endures forever, right? So that's when they came out of ancient Egypt, coming into the land. To him which divided the Red Sea into parts, for his mercy endures forever, all right? So that goes back to, if we go to Exodus 14, I'll find it here. Yeah. I'm just giving an example of this, right? And Moses stretched out his hand over the sea, right? Exodus 14 and 21. And Yahweh caused the sea to go back by a strong east wind all that night and made the sea dry land, and the waters were divided. And the children of Israel went into the midst of the sea upon the dry ground, and the waters were a wall unto them on their right hand and on their left, right? So this took place when they was fleeing the Egyptians, and the Egyptians pursued them and went in after them to the midst of the sea, and even all Pharaoh's horse and chariots and all his horsemen. All right, that's when they would be pursued by the Egyptians when Moses led the children of Israel out of ancient Egypt. So the Most High parted the sea, used a strong east wind all night, and made the sea dry land. So he parted the sea, and the waters were divided. So I'm just giving you an example of the Most High doing these things before for the children of Israel. So when it speaks about this in Second Ezra, he did the same thing again for the northern kingdom when they left the Syrian captivity and made their ways to the Americas. It says, for the Most High Yahweh then showed signs for them and held still the flood till they were passed over the sea. So he held back all of the strong, the flood, the strong waves in the sea from taking down the boats, the ships that they was in, that they were using to cross the come through the Euphrates into the Persian Gulf, into the Indian Ocean, and then into the Atlantic Ocean. For through that country there was a great way to go, namely as of a year and a half, that was the journey, and the same region is called Azareth. Azareth is the Americas, which just means, it means another land. Now, I think, let's quickly find it. I think it's Deuteronomy 28. Not 28, 28, or, hold on. Deuteronomy 30, I may be thinking, 1 second. There's a scripture here. It's 32. The scripture here I'm thinking of, so I can find it. 1 second, family. I'm just looking at my Bible. There's a scripture here that I'm thinking of. Second Ezra 13, Marine, Deuteronomy 20, Deuteronomy, I think it's 29. It's Deuteronomy 29 and 28, not Deuteronomy 28. Deuteronomy chapter 29, just make sure I got it. Make sure I'm reading the right one. Verse 28. Yeah. So if we go to Deuteronomy 29, 28. It speaks about that, see? And the Lord Yahweh rooted them out of their land in anger and in wrath and in great indignation, and cast them into another land as it is this day. That another land is talking about America, Babylon the Great, all right? It says that, and the anger of Yahweh was kindled against this land to bring it upon it all the curses that are written in this book. The curses in Deuteronomy 28. What was one of the curses? That we were going to go to this another land. Not just the northern kingdom, but the southern kingdom were going to go there on slave ships. The northern kingdom went there on ships that they built themselves. The southern kingdom were brought there on slave ships that were built by the Edomites, Esau, all right? So this word here, another land, this is where, this goes back to the Hebrew word, another land, Asa, which is another. And then you go back to the word land here, Eretz. Eretz. That's where you get the word Azaretz from. Azaretz, Eretz, Azaretz. This is where you get this word from. And they called it Azares, another land. That's where it comes from. That's the Hebrew word here. Land, Eretz, all right? Land, earth, right? And then Azza is another. Azza, it's kind of spelled a little bit different here in the English, but that's the same word, all right? Azza Eretz, which means another. Arsaretz, there it says Arsaretz. It's pronounced the same, Arsaretz, which is another land. This is what it's talking about. It's the same word, all right? So the same thing that happened to the northern kingdom happened to the southern kingdom. It's that the northern kingdom built their own ships. The southern kingdom were taking their own slave ships. And the Lord rooted them out of their land in anger, 70 AD, and in wrath and in great indignation, and cast them into another land as it is this day, all right? As it is this day today. So this is this other land here. This is the land Azara. It just means another land. This is where the northern kingdom went. This is how they know who their history are. These and I also believe these people in South America are waking up due to the works of the men of the children of Israel. I truly believe that they are waking up due to the works that we are doing. All right, that the brothers are doing in bringing out this truth. All right, they're not just They're not just doing this. They're not just doing this. They're not just waking up of their own thing. They obviously know some of their history, but they're truly waking up to the full extent of who they are, and that they know America's Babylon the Great due to the works that we are doing. All right. So now I'm going to read something to you here, right? Just to show you, all right? So this here, this book is called. Let me just show you the page. Let me come back to where I want to read. So you can see what we're reading from first and foremost, right? It's called A Treaty on Physical Geography, all right? A treaty on physical geography, all right? By A. Barrington, right? Edited by Charles Burdett, New York. So this book was produced in 1850. See? 1850, right? This is when that book was produced in 1850, all right? Just so you can see, all right? So this is what it's called, right? So this book is 175 years old, right? Roughly 175 years old. A Treaty on Physical Geography, right? So let's go to where I want to read now. All right, so we're on page 296, all right? I'm just going to read from, I want to start from down here. It says here, the Aborigines of America, all right? The Americas, all right? We can go to the next page, all right? Are another instance. They are all unquestionably of one race. Because who are they? They are the 10 lost tribes of Israel, all right? The Aborigines. From the Northern Kingdom, from the North America, to South America, to the islands, right? So from the Tanios, to the Arawaks, to the Gadites, to the Semioles, to the Incas, all of them, the Peruvian native, the Marapuches, the what's the other one main tribes down there? We've got the Incas, the Aztecs, all of these, they're all unquestionably of one race. This is one thing Esau worked out, whether they were from North America or South America, they were all from one race. And yet, as we move around the lake southward, they have become darker and darker, all right? As we always tell you that they were a lot darker back then, but through them, over the years and that, the mixing, they do get a bit lighter, all right? It says they are unquestionably of one race, and yet as we move from around the lakes southward, they become darker and darker till in plains of the Orinoco and the Amazon, they are nearly black, while on the cool and humid shores of the Pacific, they are found fairer than many Europeans, right? And their cheeks frequently displayed the ruddy hue common among white men. On elevated mountains and tables lands of South America, the hue is much lighter than in the plains. Because we tell you that they go from a light brown So a dark brown, right? The tribes, 12 tribes, right? Especially the 10 lost tribes of Israel. Okay, all right. Now remember, a lot of these Europeans that was coming amongst the Anglo-Saxon Europeans, quite a few of them also were people of color that were living in Europe, that was coming alongside the so-called Edomite Europeans that were coming to the Americas. All right, you must understand. Notice, remember, Europe was ruled by so-called people of color, so-called black people, for over 1,000 years, right, up until the late 16th century, right, in the times of Queen Isabella of Spain and King Ferdinand of Portugal. All right, it says, so we're here now, right? So we'll show where I'm reading from. It says, we are well aware that it has been repeatedly stated the American Indians are all of one hue, right? Such assertions could have proceeded only from theorists and who had either very limited or no acquaintance with them. They say the Arab tribes also exhibit a great variety of hues, from the black of the Maghriba of the Sahara and the dark brown of the Shegia, or the natives of Oman, the comparatively fair hue of the Arabs of Lebanon, right? So he's just doing the comparisons to the Native American Indians, how they compare to the Arab tribes in what we know today as the Middle East, how they were from a dark skin, dark black, dark skin, to a fair hue brown. He's just comparing their complexion to the Arabs in the Middle East, all right? Just so you understand what's being said here. It says here, it says the answer to such facts is intermixture, but the other features often show that there has been no intermixture. Thus, the Maghreba Arab shows by his features, hair, and general expression that he is not blackened by being partly of Negro descent, right? There is another fact which proves that the answer of intermixture is unsatisfactory. Where change of complexion is produced, as it often is by intermixture, there is only an approximation to either of the colors. Thus, the mulatto is never as black as the Negro, all right? Because a mulatto is someone that's mixed, right? It says, now, in the cases we have mentioned, there is a complete similarity of hue. The argument from intermixture is further rebutted by historic knowledge, right? Right, so this is the point we want to get to. So let's bring it up here. It says, thus the Jews are a people who have ever, according to the prophecy, dwelt alone, without intermixing with the nations to this day. Now this separate race all descended from brown ancestors, not so-called white ancestors, from brown ancestors. Because what are we? We are different shades of brown, right? So it says, now this separate race all descended from brown ancestors. For Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob must have been as dark as Mar Yohanna, if not darker. Now, Mar Yohanna was a bishop or a monk back in this late 15th century, early 16th century, right? Was a so-called Negro, right, that lived in Europe. He was either a bishop or a monk or of that caliber. So he's telling you, for Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob must have been as dark as Mo, Yohanna, if not darker. Exhibit every shade of color, from the black Jews of Malabar, of whom we have such an interesting account by Dr. Claudius Buchanan, to the rose and lily complexion of the Jewess on the banks of the Elbe. We need to go no further than the Jews of southern Spain, all right, and compare them with those of Holland and northern Germany to perceive a very striking difference. The Spanish Jew is always dark complexioned, and his hair is uniformly black, whilst the German Jew is often as fair as any German, has light or red hair or blue eyes. So so the German one would be who you refer to as the Ashkenazi, so-called Jew. The Spanish Jew, some people refer to as the Sephardic ones, were the dark complexions. These were the true descendants of the children of Israel, right? The dark complexion, and his hair was uniformly black. All right. So he's comparing them to the ones that are in Germany, which were the so-called Edomites that we'll refer to as the converts, right? It says the various shades of color observable among the Negro or African race tends to the same conclusion. Along the coast of Guinea, which is low, marshy, and hot, we find jet black complexions. This is the very country from which the American Negroes have been derived. Who are the American Negroes? The American Negroes are from the southern kingdom of Israel. These are the Israelites that come from Judah, Benjamin, Levi. So this is the man that's describing the people that was living in the Americas, the Jews that came over from Israel and from Spain and Portugal that came to the Americas, and those that came from the west coast of Africa, of Guinea, that these are all people of color, from a dark skin to a light skin. So it goes on here to say, it says, and the elevated regions of the interiors or past into southern Africa, we find that the very same race of various shades of brown, from a dark mahogany to a light copper, like how the Lord is referred to, right? Like brass, skin as brass, right? Like that of the Fulas of the Kong Mountains. He says, the Creator does not produce great changes in organic beings by sudden starts and bounds, but wisely introduces them by gradual alterations. Hence, when races change their localities, the color, as well as other characteristics, changes only by degrees. But in the course of ages, it always conforms to the climate, and hence, without a single exception, we find all races long settled in the low, marshy, and hot regions, very dark or black. This is where we're reading here. We find all races long settled in low, marshy, and hot regions, very dark or black, and those long residents in cool and equable climates, fair complexions, while in regions of the intermediate character, we find an intermediate color. The Africans of the northern states are already several shades lighter than their Guinea ancestors, even in those cases where their thoroughly Negro hair and features show that they are not of mixed descent. Right? Now, the part is I'm going to read you here is going to talk about the texture of the hair of our people as well, right? I believe it is this part here. It says, with respect to the peculiarities of the hair, these change more slowly than the color of the skin, right? So far, however, as its color is concerned, that is of less value than what we have been considering, since it is very common to see brothers German with hair of the most unlike hues, but the texture of the hair has been supposed to exhibit a permanent distinction. This, however, differs from the others only in degree. For the Negro, or to use a common and more proper expression, the African race, right, exhibits every variety of structure, from the most crisp to curling and flowing locks. Microscopic examination has shown that the most crisp human hair does not differ a whit in structure from the most straight. The matting property of wool, arising from small notches in the hair, being absent in both. The term woolly, indeed, must have been applied to the African hair by persons who were acquainted only with the wool of one kind of sheep. For in this ovine race, the wool is often straighter than crisp. Now, how was the Lord described? All right. The reason why I wanted to read a bit more of this, right? How was our Lord described? Remember, Revelations chapter 1. Revelations chapter 1, right? Right. And in the midst of the 7 candlesticks, Revelation chapter 1, verse 13, one like unto the Son of Man, clothed with a garment down to the foot, and girt about the paps with a golden girdle. His head and his hairs were what? White like wool, as white as snow, and his eyes were as a flame of fire. The only people, right? And remember, this book was written in 1850, right? Here was described as woolly is who? The so-called black man, the so-called Negro. The term woolly, indeed, must have been applied to the Africans here, all right? The Africans got the same hair as the Israelites, right? And he's talking about, remember, we Israelites were living amongst the Africans mainly on the West Coast. And he's talking about the people of Guinea in particular, which were the Israelites that lived on the West Coast, right? So he is telling you that the term woolly indeed must have been applied to, when it says the Africans here, he might as well have just written the Israelites here, because that's who those people were on the West Coast, by persons who were acquainted only with the wool of one kind of sheep. This is why we're always referred to as the lost sheep of the house of Israel, right? For in the ovine race, the wool is often straight then crisp. So he's telling you here, just like it says here, this, however, differs from the others only in decree. For the Negro, the Israelite, or to use a common or more proper expression, the African race exhibits every variety of structure from the most crisp to the curling and flowing locks. And the woolly hair was the most common type of hair that our people had, right? Just so you know. So when we talk about our Lord as well, the Lord is described here. His head is white as wool. His hairs on his head were white like wool, as white as snow, and his eyes was a flame of fire. And his feet were like unto fine brass, as if they were burned in a furnace. What is brass? Brass is the same color as copper, right? And his voice is sound of many waters. We also read here, when he was talking about the, up here, when he says here, he says, the elevated regions of the interior or pass into southern Africa, we find the very same race of various shades of brown, from a dark mahogany to what? To a light copper. Copper is what? Copper is the same color as brass. So the Lord is described with that copper brass color. And his feet were like unto fine brass, as if they burned in a furnace. Hence, so there's nothing that they can get away from trying to tell you who the children of Israel are. When that woman in the radio interview, this was the actual interview here, was speaking to this guy here, Tariq Radio. This is the actual interview here. And when she was saying, look, when she was saying this,
I know you live in California. I know the Jewish are all around you. You might be intimidated not to tell the truth. You are a Jew. You are a true Hebrew, like most Latinos. We are the 12 tribes of Israel. I want you to do your research and spread truth, which is liberation. People are living lies. Our history has been completely changed in order to meet the lies of this country. This country is going to collapse. People need to organize. People need to be ready.
Camilla?
Stop dividing people. Latinos are mostly Africans and mostly indigenous. And indigenous peoples are Hebrews. We speak Quechua. We speak indigenous language that are the oldest versions of Hebrew.
And she's 100% right. This is why Columbus had Hebrew translators on his ships when he came to the Americas, right? Columbus had, let me see if I can quickly bring it up here. Columbus, we're all the same people. Hebrew. Yes, his name Luis Torres. Columbus' first crew included several conversos, or what? Jewish or Spanish Jewish converts to Christianity, or I should say Israelite converts, notably the interpreter Luis Torres. Importantly, 3 conversos in the Spain court were influential in serving royal approval for the controversial expedition, right? So, this is the guy here. Luis de Torres was a converso, a Israelite person. This was an actual Israelite, not a Jewish man, who was forced to convert to Christianity, just like what she was saying about her people being forced to Christianity when these Edomites came to the Americas, or be put to death according to the Inquisition. Apparently born Yusuf Ben Halevi Halvary, chosen by Columbus for his what? For his knowledge of Hebrew, Chaldaic, and Arabic. All right, this is who he had on his ship. After arriving at Cuba, which he supposed to be the Asian coast, Columbus sent de Torres and the sailor Rodrigo de Jerez on an expedition inland on November the 2nd, 1492. Their task was to explore the country, contact its ruler, and gather information about the Asian emperor described by Marco Polo as the Great Khan. 2 men were received with great honors in a village and returned 4 days later. They reported on the native customs by drying leaves, inserting them in cane pipes, burning them, and inhaling the smoke, a reference to use of tobacco. When Columbus set off to Spain on the 4th of January 1493, Luis de Torres was among the 39 men who stayed behind at the settlement of La Navidad, founded on the island of Hispaniola. Coming back by the end of the year, Columbus learned that the whole garrison had been wiped out by internal strife and attack. So Luis Torres was a Hebrew, spoke Hebrew. Why was he bringing them? Because Columbus knew about this here. He knew about 2nd Ezra 13 and 45. He read the book. That the 10 lost tribes of Israel never came back to the promised land. That they went to this place, namely, took a year and a half to get there, and the same region is called Arsares, which just means another land, which is the Americas. This is why Columbus had Hebrew translators on his ship when he went to the Americas. So when you hear her telling him this, she knows her history, but I truly believe that they also know who they are, more so from listening to the brothers, the men that came out originally, that came out of One West, starting from our apostles and elders of Great Millstone going down. Truly.
Your history, my friend, and do a work of love that is much needed around this country.
Camilla?
Yes, sir.
Where are you from, dear?
I am from Peru, one of the 12 tribes of Israel. We come from the real Hebrews. And after 500 years of rape, forced marriages, genocide, provoked pandemics, our melanin have changed. But what you're doing is divide us people that we need to stick together one way or another, and it's going to happen. Just be ready, because the Jewish demons that run the USA, Babylon USA, will provoke violence soon. Beware. Times are difficult, but there's a better future for everyone. Okay? Do a work of love. It's much needed.
And a better future is coming in the name of Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai. So anyway, I just kind of really wanted to just bring that to you. And even the lost lunar stones, you must know about this, the lost lunar Steglock stone, which has the commandment, they call it the lost lunar mystery stone, or the commandment rock. The stone has gained notoriety because it has the inscription. This is the Paleo Hebrew. It has the commandments. I don't believe it's all the 10 commandments on it, but it has several of the commandments are written on this lost lunar stone, which was found where? In Mexico, amongst the southern kingdom, amongst the tribe of Issachar. This stone here, amongst the tribe of Issachar. This is Paleo Hebrew. It's got the commandments written on it. And this stone was found in this stone New Mexico. That's where it was found. It says the first history mentioned the stone is in 1933. Professor Hibben, an archaeologist for the University of New Mexico, saw it, and according to that 1996 interview, Hibben was convinced the inscription is ancient and thus authentic. It's the Paleo Hebrew. This wasn't found in Israel. This was found in Mexico amongst the northern kingdom. All right, this lost lunar stone here. So, like I said, I just want to kind of bring this bit of information to you. I pray you were edified. As always, give all the praise and the glory to Yahweh by Shimi, Avshai, by Shem, Rakah, Kodash, double honors to the apostles, the elders of Great Millstone. As I always say, keep praying, keep safe, repent, hold on to this truth. Shalom.